Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. As you know, WWE Evolve is now changing up the gears. As you probably know, Jackson Drake is now on the concerning situation because, as you probably can guess, there are many people that want to have a piece of him for the Evolve Championship. But Stevie Turner is determined to find a number one contender, but the real question is who will step up? And we got plenty other matches taking place as well. Now, as for AEW Dynamite, a lot of things are taking place. As you know, they continue with their residency at the 2300 Arena. This one features, of course, Mark Briscoe demanding to find out who will be his opponent in order to get his hands on Kyle Fletcher. Well, we'll just have to wait and see what happens until then. And then, of course, Gabe Kidd is on the hunt for Darby Allin. As you know, Darby Allin is determined to have his match against Jon Moxley. But speaking of Jon Moxley, the Death Riders, Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli have an opportunity to challenge for the AEW World Tag Team belts. Will Brodito survive it, or will they fail? That is something we will pay attention very closely. But as for our main event, we have an 8-man all-star tag team match. On one side, we got the members of the Don Callis family taking on, of course, a combination of Kenny Omega, our AEW World Champion Hangman Page, and Jet Speed. So we will see how things will go. But first things first, we will be reviewing two events from the Joshi Promotion SEAdLINNG. One from two of them actually. This is from past May, which I was unable to review, but they're really fun to enjoy watching. So we will go from A to Z on this one. And then finally, we will cap up our episode, as usual, with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events and promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up. 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 Get up, get up.
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the yapping, let's get boogieing. So, let's begin with one of the two events by Joshi Promotion SEAdLINNG that dates back all the way in the month of May. Okay, SEAdLINNG. It's been who knows how long since I reviewed one. This is one of their recent events from back in May. and this was on May 1st in Corkin Hall, one of their big shows, and this one's called Jump Up. Now, we opened up with Mio Shirai and Hiroyo Matsumoto taking on Rina Yamashita and Natsu Sarime. Now, for those who know Mio Shirai, she is the elder sister of the Genius of the Sky, Io Sky. Yeah. So basically, yeah, she's a wrestler too. Quick background, she hasn't been wrestling for a while. She was a trainer for Ice Ribbon. She even played referee, but now she's back as a wrestler. Ever since things with the previous promotion she worked with was not working out in the much recent years, so now she's wrestling and all that. But she even had some wrestlers she's been helping out find good homes. I don't know what she in fact is doing today, but it's great to see her wrestle again, because I'm not saying that she's better than Io, just to put it things clear, but I have to say she is really really interesting to watch. But this match was, of course, a little different from I would have imagined. You would have assumed because Mio has better experience than everybody else in the ring, that would have played out. You most likely would, but it was Surumi Natsu who actually picked up the win when she applied an inside cradle, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she picked up the win. Now, our next match is a high-speed tag team match. Now, for those who know high-speed, in their world, they have the high speed, but the counts have to be faster instead of the 1, 2, 3. No, in this case, it's more like 1, 2, 3. That's how it works in their high speed matches. So we have like Kakegita La Pedida taking on Tabitha and Yuvia from, of course, CML. I don't know if they understand the rules how this applied, because this is high speed. But of course, for those who never seen a high-speed match in SEAdLINNG, there are times the referee gets involved because she is herself a high speedster when she was a wrestler. Now she's a referee for this particular match every single time. But it was La Pedida who picked up the win when she rolled up Tabitha, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our next match, we have an interesting 6-woman tag match. We have Honori Hanan, Miku Kane, and Unagi Sayaka taking on La Frescas de Ogaistas, consistent of Makoto, Nagisa Nozaki, and Benny. So yeah, this is one of the factions in SEAdLINNG and all that. But of course, the one thing, if you guys know, the La Fresca Egoistas are heels. They made the beeline to their opponents. Of course, if you guys are Unagi Sayaka fans, you probably would have enjoyed watching this match after all. But one thing, it was clear we did see moments with Honori Hanan getting in the face of Eveni, who is in fact the Beyond the Sea champion, back and forth. But in the end, it was Veni who walked away with the win when she applied a moonsault, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, in the post-match, this is something I did not know until later. Veni was calling out Hinori Hanan, and it turned out that she became her opponent for the championship. Now, she looked for Unagi Sayaka, like, should I go for it? I think for Unagi, it's just like, you're not ready for it because you're still a rookie, but if you think you have what it takes, then do it. So I think that's one of the things that many rookies, if you are giving an opportunity for the top title of the promotion, then you have to take it, even though if there is a small chance you could win. So she took it. So that's going to be the next review we're going to do that features her in it. Now, our next match, I have to say this is a pretty good one because you have a lot of striking capabilities. We have Mirai Koga taking on Mika Iwata from SEAdLINNG, from Sendai Girls. I loved how they actually put in a bit of the striking capabilities. It was like going back and forth with their kicks. But in the end, it was in fact Mika Iwata who applied a driver, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. But the one thing that really was cool is that she gave Miya a lot of respect, realizing what a strong wrestler she is, and she carried her all the way to the back, going to the stage area. And I didn't expect that coming from her. I mean, she has a bit of an attitude, and she is very miffed when it comes to outsiders. But if there's certain outsiders she likes to interact, then this is one of them that she definitely can get behind. Now, our main event is the Beyond the Sea Tag Team belt. We have, of course, Yuri teaming up with Misa Kagura, who we all know some people call her Tam Nakano's clone. But if you all know their history between both Yuri and Misa Kagura, they used to be part of Just Tap Out with Taka Michinoku, and they debuted around the same time on November 11th, 2000 something, I forgot, but yes. And they faced the champions, Izuki Aoki and Ayame Sazamura. Pretty good match, I'm not going to lie. I mean, many people would have loved to see Yuri and Misa win because they actually know each other and they debuted around the same time. But unfortunately, things didn't go according to plan because we did see, of course, a combination at the end with Misa getting attacked by both Aoki, first with the body splash, and then, of course, Sazamura with the double foot stomp. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, Sazamura and Aoki retained the championship. So it was a pretty good event, I have to say. Real fun. So I think we're done with this one with SEAdLINNNG, but we will continue with more. Let's do the other one, of course. I believe this one is part of the Skin-kiba Series. Okay, we continue with more with SEAdLINNNG, and this is, of course, part of the Skin-kiba series. This is volume 3, and it happened on, of course, May 30th. So this is one of 2 events that happened in the month of May. Now, we opened up with, of course, Mio Shirai versus Natsu Surime. So you would think that this is a bit of a match for what happened the last time, which we review, which, of course, Natsu Surime walked out, of course, with the victory, and I'm sure Mio Shirai was looking for a measure of revenge. But, however, you probably ask yourselves, will Natsu Surime have the capability of doing that? I mean, yes. I mean, you would think that, she would have it because the old saying goes, lightning doesn't strike in the same place twice. I mean, in wrestling, it does, but it takes a certain time when it could happen. But, however, that wasn't it because Mio Shirai applied a buzzsaw kick, and just like that, knocking her out, 1, 2, 3, Mio walked away with the win. And then, of course, there was a post-match promo. I don't know what Natsu Surime said to Mio, but hopefully I find out the answer to that. Now, we got, once again, another high-speed tag team match. We have Miku Kane and Yuri taking on Kagedira and La Perida. So I would say that there's no way Yuri and Miku Kane had the experience when it comes to the high-speed tag team match. You got to remember, the count is 1, 2, 3. Just like that, fast. It's not 1, 2, 3. Not like that, it's faster. But you probably would think, okay, maybe they would pick up a win. Nope. It was, in fact, La Perida once again who walked away with the win when she pinned Yuri, and just like that, it was over. Now, our next match, we have Miria Koga taking on Konami. Yeah, Konami from Stardom, being her smug face, as always, trying to act like she's better than everyone. But you can see there was a bit of the striking capability. But, however, Miria does not have the submission capability like Konami does. And there were moments where she tried to put her in the triangle lancer on multiple occasions until finally she got the right moment to put her in. And just like that, Miria had no choice but to tap out. Now, our next match, we have a tag team match. We have Madison Marley. I know I heard that name before, but I just can't remember. She teams up with La Fresca de Egoístas, consistent of Makoto and Agiza Nozaki. They take on Hiroyu Matsumoto, Izuki Aoki, and Ayame Sazamura. So probably you would think in some capacity that maybe if the opposing team would take on Aoki and Sazamura, pin them, they probably would get another shot of the tag team belts, because last time these ladies beat the members of La Frescas Egoístas for these belts. But in the end, it was Makoto who walked away with the win, when she pinned Hiroyo, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now our main event is, of course, for the Beyond the Sea Championship. We have, of course, Veni defending the title against Honori Hana. Now Honori Hana is a rookie, so this is her first attempt. Now, of course, we all could say as fans that there is no way Honori Hana not will walk away with the win with the belt, but I think she would surprise everyone no matter what. We've seen wrestlers, especially the rookies in Japan, how they can impress us with their skills, and that's exactly what happened. But in the end, once again, Benny walked away with the win when she applied a moonsault. 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, we did see a bit of a post-match promo, but Makoto comes out, and I wouldn't be second-guessing myself, because I would assume that Makoto will love nothing more to have an opportunity against Benny for the championship. So I'm pretty sure possibly the next events that I might review down the road, we might see that, but we'll just have to wait and see. So as of right now, this is what happened, of course, in this particular event with SEAdLINNG. We'll end things here with them and move on to the next, which is, of course, it's going to be WWE Evolve. Okay, WWE Evolve. We opened up with Shawn Legacy taking on Ice Williams. Now, as you know, for a while now, Shawn Legacy has been trying to tell the rest of the Evolved WWE Universe, saying that I'm going to be the face of Evolve, which he failed on multiple occasions. Not winning the championship, losing to guys like Kiana Carver, Rich Holland. So you probably can guess how that was going to turn up. So that was exactly what's happening. But the real question is, will Shawn Legacy finally overcome this funk? Or once again, will his loss be another reminder that he will never be the face of the company? So that is one thing that, in fact, goes to his heights. Now, his opponent, Ice Williams, is like, I had enough of your crap, bro. You're the one who's taking all these opportunities, and you keep blowing it. You don't deserve to be at the top face. So that's exactly what this was about. I think Ice Williams feels like he should have been at the top, rather than Shawn Legacy tried to prove that he is the guy for the job. But they've been going back and forth at each other in this match. Like, you would have assumed one of them had the opportunity to pick up the win. But in the end, it was Shawn Legacy that was able to finally overcome this funk when he applied shambles, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And then, of course, he had a post-match interview outside the ring with Chuy Martinez, talking about what's next from him. Probably people would assume he'll be coming after the Evolved Championship, but however, he feels that if he goes after it now, that would put him in another position. So he feels, I can't do that. I have to rack up some wins to prove myself. But of course, someone has decided, that, you probably are being pathetic, being this way. So Edris Enofe feels that he should be the one being the face. But Shawn Legacy, well, let's just say he doesn't see him that way. Now, we did see a bit of a video promo by Kylie Rae talking about Chantel Monroe, about what she did to her, disrespecting her and all this other stuff. But of course, she even said that she has going to have a great time with the match with Masyn Holiday. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, the Vanity Project, as you know, we have, of course, Brad Baylor, Ricky Smokes, Jackson Drake, Bryce Donovan, and Zeta Steel. As you know, they are determined to prove that they're the ones in charge of of Evolve. So basically, that was the whole thing. But the thing is this: they don't know who, in fact, is the #1 contender. Of course, Bryce Donovan is feeling like, hey, guys, look, the only thing that I'm more concerned is Kiana Carver. He is. He's a beast that he would do whatever. Like, hell no, bro. Stop mentioning his name. So it's like more like they shouldn't be concerned. But however, Callie Armstrong was saying this. Hey, look, I made an effort to defend this belt no matter what. But I always ask myself this question. Which one of us is going to lose the belt first? And then later, Zeta Steel's like, the way I'm going to see it, honey, it's going to be you. But, of course, Callie Armstrong, no. I think it's Jackson Drake because he's afraid. So, that's one of the things I think is going on. I think the Vanity Project are scared, but we'll see where that goes. Now, our next match, we have Kylie Rae versus Masyn Holiday. I have to say, it was a pretty good match. I mean, we know that Kylie Rae has the tools and the capability to reach the top. Masyn Holiday, she was very impressive, but unfortunately, she ended up on the wrong side of the crossface, and just like that, she tapped out. Our next match, we have Adrenaline Drip, Cappuccino Jones and Jack Cartwheel taking on a guys named Jax Presley and Harley Riggins. Now, as you know, they are trying to make a name for themselves in the tag team division in Evolve. Now, of course, many of us are anticipating the possibilities of an Evolve tag team belt, which, of course, it could happen. But however, will Adrenaline Drips pick up the win? Well, they didn't, because there was an amazing moment where Jack Cartwheel was popped up and then speared right away, and just like that, Riggins and Harley, they just picked up the win. Now, Stevie Turner, as you know, is determined to announce who's the #1 contender to challenge Jackson Drake. Now, of course, to interrupt is in fact the Vanity Project. So the Vanity Project are like saying, no one needs to challenge me. All this, like, they try to act like they think they're in charge. But however, Keanu Carver comes out, so does Brooks Jensen and Ridge Holland. But Ridge Holland was taken out by Tate Wilder, and just like that, things went out of hand. But however, apparently Bryce Donovan opened his big fat mouth by accident and gave an idea to Stevie Turner. Jackson Drake will defend the belt against both Brooks Jensen and Keanu Carver in a triple threat next week. However, the Vanity Project tried to take both of them out, but in the end, it was Jackson Drake who ended up through a table. So we'll see what happens next week, so I can't wait to review it. So as of right now, let's move on to our last and final review, AEW Dynamite. AEW Dynamite. We opened up with Gabe Kidd. As you know, Gabe Kidd has one thing in mind, is to annihilate Darby Allin. As you probably know, Darby Allin is now looking for an opportunity to get his hands on Moxley, so Gabe Kidd has been given the task to take him out. However, of course, Darby Allin attacked him out of nowhere, and then of course, that idiot Wheeler Yuta showed up. But he got thumbtacked by the skateboard that belonged to, of course, to Darby Allin, and just like that, it was completely over from there. But the Death Riders come out to hopes they take him out. But unaware, Hook showed up. As you all know, Hook has some unfinished business with them. Then the Ops showed up as well, Powerhouse Hobbs and Samoa Joe. But while this hell was taking place, Darby Allin was taken to the back, and then he took out, of course, Gabe Kidd and put him in a body bag and drag him out to wherever he needs to go. So yeah, that's how the thing goes in. Now, we jump into the next match, which is a championship match. Mercedes Moné taking on Alex Windsor. As you know, Windsor was involved in that four-way match, but Windsor was not the one who lost. So you would have assumed that maybe a possibility Windsor would have picked up the win. But in the end, it was Mercedes Moné that walked out with the win without the usual of her arsenal, such as, of course, the statement maker or the money maker. She applied a roll-up, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. However, Alex Windsor tried to show respect to Mercedes Moné, but she's like, screw you, I don't need that. And then, of course, Windsor was not going to let that slide. Then Mercedes tried to take her out completely until, out of nowhere, our first ever inaugural AEW Women's World Champion, Riho, who we haven't seen for almost a year to a month, a year and a month, has returned. And it seems like, most likely, she could be the next challenger for the TBS Championship. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Riho becomes the first ever, of course, woman to held both the TBS title and the AEW Women's World title. That would be a huge accomplishment on her part. Now, of course, the Ops were having an interview with Renee Paquette talking about today, and then Hook, as you know, he was still pissed off after what happened. We all know, if you guys remember, Hook, Shibata, and Joe are the AEW World Trios champion, but apparently Hook was taken out thanks to Death Riders. But Samoa Joe told him, look, I had to make a call. He stepped up, okay? Look, I know you're pissed, I get it, but one day you're gonna need us. So he's trying to get him the strain up, but he tells him that you have every right to be pissed. Take it out on me, not on Hobbs, on me. I made the call. So we'll see how things will go from there. Now, Ricochet and, of course, the Gates of the Agony. Ricochet said, you think this is about what happened a few months ago between us? Did you really think this was about that? No, MVP. This was about something that happened years ago. If you guys know what I'm referring to. If you guys remember, when the Hurt Syndicate at the time were known as the Hurt Business, they tried to recruit Ricochet and he defied them. And that's exactly what happened. So basically, Ricochet is trying to say it's time for a measure of payback for what happened all those years ago. So that's exactly what was going on. So, but however, the challenge in a trios match, of course, in All Out, which, of course, it was going to be a battle line that was later drawn. So, most likely, that could happen. Now, Mark Briscoe, as you know, he wants to have a shot of the TNT title against Kyle Fletcher, but Don Callis is like saying, look, we don't got time for this crap, okay? My time is to bring back the AEW World title where it rightfully belongs. But he did say that he wants to have a match against anybody. So that idiot Don Callis picked Konosuke Takeshita for this Saturday. But he said that he picked someone else for today because I'm ready to go. And the person that stepped up was, of course, Lance Archer. So that kind of sets it up right there. Of course, Lance Archer is a much bigger dude and stronger. But in the end, it was Mark Briscoe with the froggy bow. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Now, Toni Storm, as you know, successfully defended her AEW Women's World Champion. So right now, she's telling the AEW Women's locker room to somehow, please, try to take me out. One of you step up. So, the obvious question I think many of us will probably ask, who's going to step up? I mean, there's a lot of options that we could see, but we'll just have to wait and see when that happens. Now, of course, we did see an interview with Renee with, of course, Harley Cameron and Chris Statlander talking about certain things until Wheeler Yuta, as you know. Once again, as you try to guess, they're trying to recruit it into the Death Riders, but however, Chris Statlander is like not looking at Wheeler Yuta. She's like telling him, of course, telling Marina Shafir, I got the message, so tell our friend I got it. So basically, Wheeler is like not comfortable that Marina Shafir is here. But yeah, that's how it happens. Now, our next match is the AEW World Tag Team Belts. We have, of course, the Death Riders take Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli taking on Brodito, who are making their first title defense. Now, one thing that was clear, as you know, Wheeler Yuta was involved in trying to help Gabe Kidd to take out, of course, Darby Allin. But the real question is how he is, because we saw some thumbtacks on his back. That kind of might have played out in some ways that might have slumped him. But, however, of course, Jon Moxley would do whatever it takes to ensure things go back in their full control. But what he did not realize, Darby Allin once again got involved and cost them the tag team belts, allowing for Bandito to apply the 21-plex on Yuta. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. But, however, of course, Jon Moxley, one way or the other, no matter how much he tries to say, hell no, you're not getting no match. But you got to ask yourself, how many more interference does Darby Allin has to do until Jon Moxley will snap? That's, I think, what is happening. He's trying to tell him, no matter what you do, Moxley, no matter what you try to do to avoid me, I'm going to take away everything. Every title opportunity, every match to prove that you think you're tough, but you're not, until you get in the ring with me. So sooner or later, Moxley will have to give him what he wants. But the real question is, when? If I was a betting man, I would say it could happen in All Out. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, Kazuchika Okada was interviewed by Renee Paquette. Now, if you guys saw what happened last week, there's been some tensions in the Don Callis family, more specifically with the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, and the Alpha, Konosuke Takeshita. So the real reason is this. Okada is saying, I'm the top dog here, bitch. I'm the one running this whole thing. So we could say Don Callis could lose Takeshita if Okada was involved. You can tell Okada is like that. Takeshita is saying, oh hell no, I'm the alpha and I'm the strongest. So we'll see where that goes from there. Now Renee Paquette once again had a little talk with the Hurt Syndicate about what Ricochet and the Gates of Agony was saying. But of course, the MVP was saying, dude, you're still a whining little girl. That's what you are. You've always been one. And then he's telling the Gates of Agony, look guys, I wouldn't trust him for a solitary second. He's going to make a laughing stock out of you guys. But, of course, MVP decided, you know what? We'll accept your challenge at All Out. So, let's make it happen. Now, Adam Copeland was about to make his way to the ring until he was attacked by FTR. And of course, that idiot Stokely got in the way. And then Christian Cage showed up to have his back. So you all know that this thing between FTR and Christian Cage and Adam Copeland is going to take place in Toronto. But all hell was breaking loose. And of course, FTR were not happy. And then of course, we did see Dax was busted up. And of course, we did see Stokely whining like a little girl talking about how this turned out. But that's how things roll up. Now, our next match, which is our main event, is the 8-man tag team match. We have the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick, and someone actually posted these guys again. I thought it was hilarious. They team up with Josh Alexander and Kyle Fletcher taking on Jet Speed, Mike Bailey, and Kevin Knight, along with Kenny Omega and our current AEW World Champion, Hangman Page. Now, of course, you all know the situation going on. Don Callis is now aiming for the AEW World titles. He's like saying, Hangman, you stole that belt from me years ago. Now I want it back where it rightfully belongs. So that's exactly what's happening. So he's targeting, I want this belt. It belongs to me. You stole it from me, but I had to deal with the weak link. And now, of course, weak link he was referring to was Kenny. Now, of course, we will see some dirty tactics from the Don Callis family. Not to mention that Snake of the Grass will be right there watching. But unfortunately, this match ended with, of course, Kyle Fletcher applying a brain buster onto Kevin Knight. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And then, of course, Jet Speed just took off and tried to deal with the situation on the Bucks until the Don Callis family showed up, tried to take out Hangman and Kenny Omega. But, of course, for Don Callis, like saying, I had it with you, Kenny. Just go away. Leave. You're done. You're over. Because that's exactly what he wants. He wants him gone. But also, he wants a clear path to get the AEW World title. And of course, he put him through the table. And not to mention, there is a situation with the pain that Kenny has been dealing with for a while. But the real question is, will the Don Callis family succeed in finally getting rid of Kenny? And of course, try to get the AEW World title? Well, we'll just have to see what happens. So we'll see what happens on AEW Collision. So stand by for that. But as of right now, we are officially done with AEW Dynamite. Let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Alright, so welcome to our news update. So we're only going to focus on upcoming events, so we don't have any developments for all of you. So let's get started. As you know, we have Action Wrestling, which is a promotion based out of Philadelphia, and they have their recent event called Dean 3 that will happen on the 6th of September. However, it was announced that the ROH Pure Championship will be on the line. Lee Moriarty will defend his title against Josh Woods. Many of you may remember he has been with Ring of Honor before. It's been a while since we've seen him, but it's great to hear that this is going to happen. GCW has announced for their Anchorage, Alaska event called the Final Frontier that will happen on the 4th, of course, of October. It was announced Joey Janela will take on Kid Bandit. Now, we do have two events that will happen on the same day, of course, on the 21st of November. Now, the first one, it was announced that House of Glory will be making the return to Chicago. Now, it's still unclear exactly who will be participating. I'm sure as time flows by, we'll find out. And then finally, as you know, recently I did reported that What Wrestling Revolver and Arrival Wrestling will be teaming up to do a collaboration event that will also happen on the 21st of November. However, they just announced the title of the event. It's called Wrestle Combat. Not if you guys know Combat, it's pronounced with the K instead of with the C. I think they're trying to use the Mortal Kombat theme for some reason, or maybe because this coincides with, of course, the Mortal Kombat film that'll be coming out soon. I'm not sure, but don't quote me on that. And this will be happening in Newark, New Jersey at the Hart Ballroom. So, like I said, this will happen on the 21st of November. So, stay tuned for that. Hopefully, we'll find out who will be participating in this event. So, I think that's pretty much it. So, I believe it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have Ring of Honor and TNA. Now, TNA, as you probably know, we've got a lot of battle lines taking place, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen in Ring of Honor. So there's going to be a lot of things. Now, if there's any other reviews I might do. Now, I may not be able to do, of course, like the Joshi wrestling events that I normally would do. I'm thinking about trying to catch up with Choco Pro with their much recent events. So I'm going to have to wait and see how things will go on my part. So, but the priority is TNA and Ring of Honor, just to let you guys know. So we'll see how things will go from there. But as of right now, we'll leave things as it is. Until then, I will say this, that I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.